Hello and welcome back to Inquisitor Martyr. Last time, kept going with the main story, knocking out the Shadow Sword driving mission to get to the bunker Flavius Draken is in, or at least break through the lines. And that's about it. We'll just jump back in. I think we have to... what do we have to do? Keep following the trail of this Inquisitor.
All set, Inquisitor! The Crimson Wanderer, this magnificent relic of our
I didn't realize we were already on the Imperial Knight driving mission. I kind of forgot they just put those one right after the other.
Oh, you wanted to know more about me? I forsook my house and became a free blade a very long time ago. Alas, I cannot give you a satisfying reason for my decision. I am bound by the oath of secrecy, you see, for reasons that I won't divulge at the moment.
So, I was sitting here watching some stuff. It was actually an ARG here on YouTube, and it involved aliens and stuff, and got people talking about like the Fermi paradox, which, for those who don't know, is essentially the question of, if aliens exist, why haven't we seen them? And then some people think it's because every civilization goes through some kind of trial, whether it's official or unofficial, just kind of a, one would assume, a societal or technological bottleneck, where you either succeed and your species continues, or it fails and gets eradicated. Obvious one, with closest analogy to now, would be nuclear war. Does our society engage in that and potentially wipe itself out? Or does it circumvent that and, you know, not wipe itself out? And it's kind of this idea of either we are all alone in the galaxy and something happened, or we're being simply observed, or just something happened. And I was thinking about it, and one thing that kind of bugged me about the whole concept, because you have all these scientists, I think even Stephen Hawking said, you know, we shouldn't be sending transmissions into space, which obviously, first and foremost, you can't really undo what we've done. We've been sending out signals inadvertently for decades. But on top of that, I was sitting there thinking, you know, if you get too far away, like a walkie-talkie starts failing to work, you know, static gets in the way and all this disruption. And I was thinking, why do we assume all transmissions are going to go seamlessly through space? You know, wouldn't there be some degree of signal strength degradation or quality degradation? Wouldn't potentially going through gravitational fields or through nebulae affect the the quality of a signal? What's stopping a race from potentially having received transmissions from us, only for them to come out as just garbled junk? You know, why would you listen to just a heavily scrambled sound and be like, oh yes, this is clearly people, as opposed to just saying, oh, well, this could just be, you know, the sound of another star, or literally any form of just passive noise in the galaxy. And then there's the idea that, you know, oh, we haven't seen aliens. You know, not gonna go into ancient alien theories and things of that nature, but just the idea of like, oh, well, I haven't seen them, therefore they don't exist, is kind of absurd. And it's a very, I'd say, childish mentality to take. You know, I can sit here, go into my backyard, look around and say, oh, I don't see any tigers, therefore tigers don't exist. You know, I haven't seen them with my own eyes, they're not in my immediate surroundings, so that clearly they can't exist, and everything I've been told is a lie. And that's kind of the view I have with all this is, we don't fully know. We haven't even fully explored our oceans, and we're trying to argue that space is completely devoid. That's a very bold assertion, to say the least. So I just think it's a bit foolish to run that idea of like, oh, well, clearly nothing's out there.
Dragon's subterranean fortress. I've been monitoring the local Vox channels,
and I mean, there's a chance there is life out there just kind of watching. Look at, there was a group of, like a tribe of people in India on one of the islands, I think, or by Sri Lanka, I think, somewhere in that area. But there was this missionary guy who kept showing up. This is within the past few years. And he kept trying to convert them to Christianity, and they'd shoot arrows at the guy. And eventually they just killed his ass. And thinking about that, I'm like, you know, there is a chance other races would be avoiding interaction because they don't know how humanity would react. Or in the case of some native groups, we've left them as their tribal structure just to see how those societies existed at the time. And that very well could be what they're doing, is like, hey, these are early spaceflight people. We have never, like, our information is very limited in that time frame for our people, so let's observe how these people deal with it and see if we can draw any parallels or anything like that. It's a sociological and, to a degree, anthropological study. Alright, still following the trail.
The fortress is under siege.
But that's just something that bugs me, is this very simplistic mindset that, oh, you know, we haven't seen it, therefore it can't happen.
What about
I think that Inquisitor Draken is still alive. I'm monitoring all Vox channels, and I would have heard about his demise.
Then I will find it without delay.
Also, I was going to mention this, my R2, I switched it from a comment by John Reeves. He had mentioned using this ability in his Pyromancy build and his Psyker build. And I kept kind of holding off on using it. I was like, I don't know how it is. So I did a quick, one of the random priority assignments to test this. And yeah, this thing, for the warp heat cost, you deal a ton of damage. And I just have armor breaking, so 50% armor ignoring, warp heat cost reduction, and something else. I think vulnerability. Not a lot realistically, and it's pretty great. Yeah, when it kills its target, it'll just leave the flame pillar there, but there's enough times where you can kind of rope guys into a choke point, spam out a bunch of them, and then when the target dies, it still lingers for a few seconds, dealing damage. I've even contemplated putting the range increase, but I don't know if that's going to increase the range of the actual pillar AoE, because if it does, that'd be phenomenal. Or if it's going to be like, oh, well, we just boost like target acquisition range or something like that. something I'll have to test, but, you know, it's a good, definitely a very solid ability. Especially when I was using spontaneous combustion, and for the cost that ability has, it's not that good. Which is a shame, because it's, on paper, it sounds like it should just be ripping guys left and right. But in practice, it's actually really flimsy. Like, I would hit a guy while he's burning, and it's like, oh, it deals like 1,000% more damage. I'd hit him, and the guy just be like, ow. And that's it. A little bit of damage, mostly ignorable. And I was just really let down by that ability. So it's nice to have this as an alt. I also got a couple legendaries because I have a bunch of loot quality, I think, and loot quantity mods in a bunch of my gear. And that's really helping me out. By the way, I had another train of thought with the whole Fermi paradox and aliens thing. I find it kind of funny when people are like, oh, we haven't been interacted with, so clearly there's nothing. And I'm sitting there thinking, honestly, look at science fiction. Look at Star Wars. They had the wild space. They have races setting up colonies still in the current time frame. You have the unknown region. A huge chunk of the galaxy that they're just like, yeah, we don't really go in there. And there's other races there, but it's largely unmapped and unexplored. Or you have some of the less explored quadrants in Star Trek. There's always a chance that this is just an area nobody's really gotten to exploring, or just it was kind of glanced at one point and everybody just said, it's whatever, and moved on. Hell, the other possibility is we are within the bounds of a dead civilization. You know, some great multi-system spanning empire where they had the idea of, hey, early humanity, we're just going to let them sit, they're not a threat, we don't really need to do anything, we'll observe them. And then some cataclysm happened, they died, and then this place just kind of got forgotten. You know, everybody looked at it and was like, oh yeah, it was their territory, they picked over the known planets and just left everything else because they're like, I don't really care to expand into this territory. Maybe it's in a weird area that's potentially in a conflict zone, or it's an area two or more groups are arguing over. You know, we don't know the greater scheme of things. And trying to play it like we do is both extremely arrogant of us and incredibly ignorant.
Forgive me for asking, but do Inquisitors have their own fortresses?
Sometimes an Inquisitor needs a base of operations. Armories, supply depots, and vaults.
Have you ever been tempted to have one of your own?
I just find all this stuff interesting, and I don't like the nihilistic approach of, oh, everything's dead, we're the only ones here. For, like, a science fiction story, I think it's good. You know, you find a bunch of ruins, you finally translate one thing, and it just says, we couldn't stop it, we're sorry. And then realizing you're alone in the galaxy. You know, kind of a, like, Mass Effect bad ending against the Reapers. You know, everybody gets wiped out, and information regarding what happened gets stored in the event of another species rising to the point of space travel and utilizing the knowledge to finally defeat the Reapers. Great for a story. Reality, it would suck. And people have asked the question of, what if there is something like that exists to kind of cull certain races, but I feel like that's not necessary. You know, scarcity of resources, your standard societal conflicts, advancing technology, those are going to be the challenges and bottlenecks that make or break civilization. You wouldn't need to create a group of murder robots to purge anyone who reaches spaceflight for X amount of time. At that point, it's redundant. Plus, even with Mass Effect, they kind of prove the redundancy by having the ship go to Andromeda. Yes, it takes 500 years to get there, but, you know, any race in theory can escape. And do the Reapers go outside of the Milky Way galaxy to every other one? You know, knocking on the doors, hey, anybody achieved spaceflight lately? If not, it's pointless. It's completely moot. And it's just kind of dumb. And that's the big thing when it comes to, like, scarcity of resources. On top of, if you can drain the damn galaxy of its resources, you are the most resource-intensive, like, species in creation. Considering you would have to empty planets and systems upon systems. It's just not feasible. So it's just kind of a goofy thing to me. For the max warp heat build is looking, I'm gonna have to just stat dump into, I think, my middle stat line, because it prevents self-damage when I'm at 80% or higher warp heat. Which admittedly kinda sucks, because I have to stat dump. Otherwise I have to just hope and pray that I'm able to finesse just a ton of gear that gives me that stat. I can even check it quick. Yeah, resilience. I have to strip everything else out and just pour into that. And as it stands, I can hit like 15, 16. Actually, I should be able to do it because, well, that's if I hit level 100. That's the kicker here. Yeah, I can do it if I gain, 61 more levels. I should be able to get it before 100 realistically, but it's just a little annoying. I get it, but especially with how much they kind of push this build. Nah, it's doable. What am I saying? Plus, I have the challenges that give me extra stat points, and there's a couple I can do. I'll meet with you, Flavius, in a moment. I'm currently just destroying everything you own. Need to see if I can score extra money or items. Alright, yeah, let's talk to this guy. I've just gotta do this and then grab this. Because I think at this point it's just like, hey, what were you doing, dude? And he's just like, oh, well, we're fans of Uther Tiberius and we were thinking you were sus.
Inquisitor. That's what I call perfect timing.
No, I came with my...
Ah, you must be...
It seemed.
Do you want to execute me?
I don't doubt it.
You really chose them.
I'll make sure that you...
Sounds reasonable. Get ready.
Oh, we have to defend him first. I forgot about that.
The fortress, Inquisitor. I will wade into the dark tide
Nah.
with blazing weapons.
Throw mines there and see if they do anything. Say the guardsmen are really waiting to shoot this guy, huh?
Inquisitor, I will hunt down their leader. If you cut off the head, the rest will flee. You have to keep them at bay until then.
Oh, I actually have a new staff. No, this one isn't new. The other one I have equipped is. Because I was going to use a different one that stunned enemies explode for like 400% damage or something. It was pretty good, but I don't have anything that stuns. And all the stun stuff is like, oh, if the enemy has no suppression left, then you can stun them. And I'm like, I typically DPS so high that I don't really get a stun off. Or like times like this, oh, I can like have that guy explode. Well, there's nobody around him, so it's kind of moot.
What carnage. But if certain death is all that awaits me here, I will gladly make that covenant. Keep fighting,
I'm gonna
Inquisitor.
do stuff like that. I need it to be on hit stun, and I don't think, or no, that the augment is the one that no suppression stuns. And on top of that, that's for my abilities, so stuff like that, I don't really need a stun. Or my triangle ability, it burns guys down so quick I don't get a benefit from it. Or it's fighting like trash mobs, I don't need it to... I mean, I could stun and explode a trash mob. Let's be real here. But chances are it's just going to stun, or not stun, but damage other trash. And my abilities already are kind of trash clearing abilities, so there's no point.
How are you faring, Inquisitor? If I fall, my death will have had a purpose. I am fighting for the fate of a world.
Ready to fight!
Also, they picked a terrible name for those guys, gobblers. I mean, I'm just gonna say it, goblin on D's nuts. It's obvious people are gonna make that joke. I mean, that's kind of why I was silent for a moment, was I was trying to stop myself from saying it, and then I just said, screw it. We're making the joke, no matter how low-hanging fruit it is. We're making the joke.
Only one wave left.
Even though D's nuts jokes haven't been funny in a few years now. Just like Ligma. I know they would never do it because 40K cannot have any comedy whatsoever, but I would love to have like a Great Unclean One or a Plague Marine or somebody be like, I have created a new virus and I call it Ligma, and then just having someone be like Ligma and then just turn around and instantly you're like, the creator just yells Ligma nuts. As stupid as it is, I just think it would be funny. But I think part of that stems from the setting. You know, you wouldn't expect a Ligma nuts joke in Warhammer. If I heard it in like a Marvel movie, I'd just go, oh, you know, of course someone's gonna have some dumb quippy stuff to say, they always do. But in a very serious setting where no jokes are ever made, hearing a joke, no matter how bad it is, instantly becomes far funnier. And now we get to spare this guy for more, not Puritan heretic or whatever points.
You removed?
You are looking for Uther's
Draken.
what?
Radical.
I find your methods beyond question.
That's what he is.
Captain,
Oh yeah, at the time of this recording it would be the rollover for glory. I was kind of confused. Don't know what this one's for. I have more pending rewards. Where are they? Whatever, I'll deal with it later. But that is all for now. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to hit the like button. It helps out the channel a lot. And if you haven't already, make sure to hit the subscribe button. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.